We have like Jesper Eng today with us. He's head of education at Kulturverkstan and project manager at Nätverkstan. And yeah, please, you can introduce yourself, Kulturverkstan, and how you like face the challenge of the hybrid educational method.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you, and hello everyone. It's really nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Francesca. And as you said, I'm Jesper Eng. I'm head of education at Kulturverkstan and the project manager at Nätverkstan. And those are two very Swedish words. Kulturverkstan literally means culture workshop, and Nätverkstan literally means net workshop. And I'll start with Nätverkstan is the organization hosting Kulturverkstan. And we do a lot of different things at Nätverkstan. We are a cultural and civil society organization that provides services and projects within the independent cultural and civil society field. And the main focuses of our organization is education and training. And we also work a lot with bookkeeping, subscription and accounting services. We have a media lab with a workshop area for artists and a national and we do national and international projects. And we also have a long experience in organizing international exchange and has been a facilitator for several such projects in India, Georgia, Kenya, and different countries in Europe. Our expertise areas are several: art and entrepreneurships, cultural industries, the relationship between theory and practice, cultural project management, and cultural economics, cultural policy, international exchange, and leadership within the cultural organizations. And Kulturverkstan, which is far the largest educational project we do, which is a 2-year advanced vocational education in international project management. And at that education, I work as a head of the education. Our students are musicians, actors, writers, filmmakers, artists, but also people with an academic or more theoretical background who want to realize their ideas in practical cultural projects. We do lap theory and practice at Kulturverkstan, and from the very start of the education, our students turn their abilities to real cultural projects. The education consists of 2 periods of internships for 6 and 18 weeks respectively. And our teachers are recruited from universities as well as from business life and the cultural sector. And Kulturverkstan mixes the knowledge seeking and the critical reflection of the academia with the bold practitioners' ingenuity and do-it-yourself attitude. We lap lectures with seminars and workshops, and individual tasks are mixed with working in groups. We also used to say that we are an education with 3 main focuses, which we sort of frame like the operational, the relational, and the contextual. And the operational aims at providing the student with the practical tools necessary for a project manager in the cultural sector. The relational aims at providing the students with necessary insights and abilities when it comes to conflict solving, group dynamics, and questions of leadership. And the contextual perspective aims at enhancing the students' reflectivity regarding how the surrounding world is influencing and are influenced by a cultural project. So that was sort of the background of Kulturverkstan and Nätverkstan, the main organization hosting the education. And so for the topic of today's meeting, in mid-March 2020, we went totally online with our educational Kulturverkstan, which was a massive adjustment, I would say. And one of our core values of our education is sort of what happens in the classroom between the students all the discussions and the sharing of experiences and that situations alike. But since the whole society looked all seminars and also the internships went from physical events at our premises and in the culture sector to online experiences. And for us, it was pretty much a learn as you go experience. We, as an organization, as well as our student, had to adapt to this new format, and we also adjusted along the way. And we quite early also included this sort of exploration as a part of the education, and were in constant dialogue as well with our students how to create and make the learning experience function as good as it could. And along the way, it went better and better, I would say. And the platform we used when switching totally to online were Zoom, because we weren't bound to any other platforms. We are a sort of a quite small NGO, so we used Zoom because also we thought it was a quite user-friendly interface, which also had a lot of functions that we thought could be useful in the online environment, like, you know, the chat function and breakout room functions and functions like that. And if we should start by some of the benefits that we experienced by switching to online education, we actually experienced a higher attendance on our online activities in comparison with in real life. And we could also, in a lot of cases, used sort of pre-recorded introductions and more informative lectures, and then we could combine them with Q&As and in-depth conversation. And we also, of course, benefited by the possibility of making things together within huge geographical distances. We could do trainings in Nairobi, for example. We could do trainings in northern Sweden and other projects like that. It was possible to do. And we also had sort of 2-on-2 mentoring sessions, which also worked quite well online. And some of our conversations and discussions at Kulturverkstan, also when the participants come well prepared, it sort of, in some ways, could also rise in the quality and the presence of those attending to the discussion, because yeah, you can't hide in the digital room, so to speak. And if switching to what we thought was really challenges, we have 35 students in each class at Kulturverkstan. And in big groups, when we are over 20, it makes it very, very difficult to overlook and to give acknowledge to everyone and to really see each of every participant. And the collective learning experience really suffered a lot. And all those, what we call in-betweens, I mean, all the coffee breaks, the informal conversation, the lunch breaks, the ability to talk through instructions and exercises and all like that were really, yeah, that was a big challenge to in the online format, as well as a general sort of Zoom fatigue or sort of an online fatigue. I mean, there's a lack of visual information. There's only a small face talking. And they were quite difficult to make follow-ups that really meant something to those attending. And we also have problems with technique in itself, sort of the digital literacy, as we spoke of before, you and me, Francesca, and we also suffered a lot from technical issues like bad internet connections, user inexperiences, monitoring everything. We had to set up breakout rooms, all the technical issues surrounding being on Zoom and doing it by yourself as a teacher. You had to have a lot of extras in your mind. And it was really, really difficult to get a notion of how attendants were following lectures and how sort of instructions and landed at the attendances, so to speak. And we worked. As I said, it was quite a learn as you go experience we had, and we also quite early recognized that we can't only move our analog format into the digital platforms. We had to adapt and adjust, and not at least though in terms of the Zoom fatigue. So we worked a lot of try to engaging our students and also and we adapted or adjusted in a structural way those things. So we worked a lot with timing and the schedule. We had shorter days. We had 45-minute hours. We were really, really careful with breaks. And we also made sure to make rooms for social interaction. We sort of have minor startup questions, which were to be discussed in breakout rooms, 2-on-2 or 3-on-3, and stuff like that. And we also try to mix lecturing with conversations, reflections, and we also try to make use of short videos, putting in songs, exercises away from screens, making also the students have walk and talk meetings, so they sort of could interact outside, away from the screen, and sort of try to mix very analog techniques with the digital platform. And since how should you put this? I mean, we had sort of it was moving back and forward, these pandemic restrictions in Sweden. So we also had, we had some time where we went completely online, and we also had some time where we were sort of both on our premises and online, and all these kind of hybrid formats. And as we experience the hybrid education format in the meaning of having mixed groups off and online, you have sort of a smaller group offline in the classroom and one group online at the same time, with teachers mostly offline streaming from classroom. And that was a really, really terrible experience, and the quality of the teaching as well as the learning experience, we would say, really, really suffers. So actually we don't do that at all anymore. But the hybrid in the meaning of making use of the technology and then also the general higher digital knowledge or the digital literacy and the awareness in our case, we have sort of continued to do. So we could also use more of that literacy and our own experiences in offering lectures with teachers from distant places, like from Nairobi or from Lebanon, or from whatever. And we could also, from time to time, also use Zoom as an extra classroom when needed. We have quite small premises and we have quite a lot of students. But now we could sort of mix and now and then put some classes where it sort of works, put them into Zoom, and that's and that works. and we also use this online platform for meeting purposes and the like. And one big challenge we also have faced after coming back to more offline work or the hybrid or the sort of post-pandemic state that we're in now is that we also face an expectation from our students that everything should be available at any chosen time everywhere. So it's sort of a streamed education version of Kulturverkstan, and that's not how we as an educational organization really think, or that's not what we would like to organize the education, because of all the purposes mentioned before, but not to least speak of the quality of the lectures and the learning experiences. So one part of the journey we now are really working with, or ahead of us, is to onboard all of our students again, and really stressing the importance of the physical meeting and for the sharing of experiences and the learning environment. But this said, we're also we also do shorter educational formats. I mean, Kulturverkstan is a 2-year educational program, as I said, but we also do shorter formats, which are sort of from 2 to 4 days or something like that, and then we are still using online platforms only, and then we also try to develop and explore the format, so we feel that the quality could be as high as we want it to be. So that was pretty much what I had prepared in advance.
Thank you, Jesper. I've just a question, because you said that you had more like tendencies during when you had online sessions. Do you explore and ask, or do you know why you had more tendencies?
I think it was just easier for everyone to be present in all different times. I mean, if you were sort of had a flu, or if you were at some distant geographical place, or it was just easier for everyone to always be part of the lectures.
Do you still use, for example, a digital archive where your students can find materials or what they need for their education?
We use digital archives in the sense of more of a drive structure, a Google Drive or something like that, where we share all kinds of material for exercises and texts and presentations and stuff like that. But that's all. That's we have worked with that for 10 or 15 years or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even before.
So long before, we used digital platforms for that kinds of purposes. But that's also we also experience sort of more expectations and will from our students to that we should sort of record lectures and make also that kind of material available at any for them at any certain time. So it becomes more of a sort of streamed education, but we don't do in a structural way at all. I mean, we could do that for some particular reason when we think that suits our pedagogical purposes, and we could also share recorded material in advance, so it's mandatory to watch watch something before, and then you have in-depth conversations afterwards in the classroom and stuff like that.
Yeah, thank you, Andrea.
Yeah, just a clarification. If I well understood, in some way you had created a mixed system of learning between let's say the normal in person and a sort of LMS system, learning management system, you know, like online courses always available for everybody. So in some way you keep together the new trend of webinar and this kind of tools with the whole learning methods. It's true. I well understood what it's this the trend. Let's say in this way.
Yeah. Could you please repeat that question again?
No. Yeah, just to understand if it's this mixed system works well, or it was how it is complicated to maintain this kind of mixed system of learning between the online tool and the in-person tool.
Yeah,
I understand that it was really faticoso. It was a hard work to do.
Yeah.
If I well understood, especially in the field of art, I can imagine that in field of art it's really complicated because it's a field that you need, and I think it's really important to be in presence and to share the knowledge between the learners.
Yeah. Of course, we don't do practical art education, but we also sense that as in the way we organized our education, we feel that it's a core value to our students to be physical present online in the same room, not online, offline.
No.
Yeah, this was the reason why, like, we invited Kulturverkstan to have a workshop in the Beyond Zoom project, because it's interesting, like how an education that usually that is like analogic, and it's really important to be analogic. How many challenges they faced in this period, because Jesper, we presented like the case of changemaker educations, but we were already used to have digital sessions, and for us was a very small change. Very small change. But in your case, it was like a big shift. So, yeah, Massimo, please.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for your presentation. Very interesting. And I just want to ask you, what about how did you work for the recruitment of the students? What was the methods
for the
recruitment?
Actually, we worked quite similar as we did before, but it's so we did quite the same actions to recruit students like we did over time, but we also noticed that we also had different expectations from our applicants to Kulturverkstan, to the education, where also we had quite a lot of applicants that sort of applied with the idea of Kulturverkstan being more of a hybrid version or a digital version. So people from we're situated in Göteborg on the west coast of Sweden, and there were people applying from different geographical areas who thought that it would be possible to attend more online. And that was quite, but we still think, and we also organize Kulturverkstan as a physical offline education. So there was some disappointment of that applicants.
Okay, so Jesper, I want to ask you, tell you, like, thank you for your availability and for this workshop.